What's up, all you nerds and turds? Welcome back to Indie's Nuts podcast, the internet's #1 indie gaming podcast, all about the news, reviews, and previews of all your favorite indie games. I'm one of your hosts, Steven Fontana, and with me, we have Mr. Nuff, aka Matt Murray. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man.
I'm on cloud 7. I'm not quite on cloud 9 because 4 days ago I was up on cloud like 13. But
I feel like you should be a little higher than that, though.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe
how fast are you descending?
Maybe you could put me on that pedestal.
Hurtling towards the earth.
Also with me is Andy Asimakis. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm here and I have camera. I'm camera ready today.
Yes.
And you can see this lovely cord that's going from the camera.
We can't see it
to the front.
Oh, that we could see. Yeah, it looks like we can't see it on the podcast. I don't know.
See it on the Zoom call.
Yeah, we could see it on the Zooms.
Because apparently I only have 3.0 USB in the front skis, not in the bat skis.
In the front skis, not in the bat skis. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special show for you this week. I'm sure we have a doc, but we're going to basically ignore the doc because we put on an indie game showcase on Monday. Our first ever. We've been talking about it for a couple of months now, but
center myself.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Move the other way. Right there. Right there's good.
Perfect.
We've been talking about it for a couple of months, but Dual Screens, another indie game showcase, finally came and went, and the feedback has been great. But before we get into that, let's tell you what the hell you're listening. Well, we already told you what you're listening to, but you can listen to it each and every week. And we're back on schedule, ladies and gentlemen. And you can watch us record this show live on twitch.tv/dualscreen streams, later on video on demand on youtube.com/dualscreens TV, and of course on any podcast service of choice. And if you want to support us on Patreon, it's so easy. Go to patreon.com/dual screens, just like our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler and FNH Paul. We can't continue to grow without all of your support, and literally the showcase would have been impossible without all of your support. So thank you so much. And remember, you get into our super VIP Discord with just $1. Andy.
Yeah, buddy.
Back at PAX East this year with Mr. Nuff. We were all three of us together with Miss Envy. Mm-hmm. And possibly, I don't remember if Jimmy was standing with us, but possibly. Mm-hmm. We're all standing there together. We were winding down, and we said, there are just too many games. And we need to show them to the world. We should do a showcase. And then we were like, but Andy, I planted the seed in the back of Andy's cerebellum, as it were, and it grew into this just monstrosity of a fern, of an indie game fern that has taken over our lives for the last, I would say, we've been working on it for 5 months, but I think we have been working on it for like 2.5 months. And it has been quite an interesting journey, hasn't it, Andy?
Yeah, it was, the idea is nice. Like, you want to do this thing. Great. Awesome. But where do you go from here? And a lot of it was dependent on our contacts and our friends participating in the event. Because, I didn't want to the biggest fear I think we had was like using a bunch of stuff that's like already online and out there. Like, well, if you're just mashing a bunch of trailers together, it's nice for awareness sake, and like, here's stuff happening that you may not know about. Like, here's some games you never heard of, possibly go check them out. But we wanted to like really leverage our relationships with all these devs and like have them make something special for us, unique to this showcase. So it was a lot of emailing. I want to say at least 150 plus emails went out like in the span of a couple of days. Mm-hmm. Getting feelers from people. And then, I got like very little nibbles in the beginning. I was like, maybe this isn't as easy as I thought it would be. It sounds like it's going to be difficult. But then it was like a deluge. Like, they all just came in at once, and I was getting yeses left and right.
There was great. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there another big event. Was it the one in Paris or the one in Germany? Something was going on after PAX East that a lot of our dev friends were going to. And I think when they came back, was it Gamescom?
GDC.
GDC, that's what it was. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, it was GDC. When I don't know why I was thinking Germany. When they came back from GDC, then we started to get all those responses of, "Oh, that sounds cool. When are you thinking of doing it?" and yada yada. And then it sort of it kind of snowballed from there.
No. It snowballed really the day we announced it on July 4th. Because we had I want to say a good maybe 10 to 15 solid yeses, reliable yeses in our corner.
I think with the announcement, I believe the official number was actually 12.
Right.
I think it was 12 100% yeses.
And when we announced it, all these new people were like, this is so cool. How do I get involved? How do I submit my game? What do I do? And I was getting slammed 20 emails a day from people. What are the requirements? I was like, we got to make a form. We got to do a thing, make this thing real. Because before the July 4th, it was just me saying, hey, indie dev that I know, we're doing this thing. Maybe if we get good feedback and, good response, do you want to do it? Maybe. And it's yeah, that sounds cool. Sign me up. I'm like a yes-ish. Cool. Keep it small, simple, maybe 10 to 12 games. Because I spoke to Matt during the whole 12 games sounds good. Great.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, I remember that.
In the beginning part, but then it kind of really kind of took its own life after July 4th. And it
killed itself,
bonkers.
Andy?
We made new friends, a lot of new friends along the way.
Yeah.
Some really old friends came out of the woodworks, really, really way back.
OGs, yeah.
Nintendo dual screens guests came back. So yeah, it was.
And
it's
also
been crazy,
people who aren't making games anymore, hooked us up with their friends that are still making games to it was really interesting. And one of the things that I learned from this whole thing is that if you think about it, our Twitter following has 1,000 followers, 1,300. I don't know, something like that.
Closer to 2,000.
Closer to 2,000. Okay.
1,500. Yeah.
We don't burn the world down when we put up an interview. It's just we're humble. We're a very small independent podcast that we're just trying to get the word out on these games. And so many developers wanted to be a part of this thing, not knowing who we were, not knowing our audience, not. I mean, we are literally 2 clicks away from you knowing that we've never done this before. Actually, we said it was our first, so we've never done this before. And what that showed me was that indie devs need more. They need more coverage. Yeah. There just isn't enough you can do for that community. I mean, we had people from all around the world submit trailers for this.
If I had said yes to every single person, this could have been easily 3 hours long.
That's wild.
We had to stop at some point because
Yeah.
there was stuff coming in that I was like, I really need to because at one point I was really into the quantity. I was like, all these games look great. I want them all in the thing. But then after a while, I was like, I'm getting so many answers and so many emails. I need to quality control this a little bit because it's going to go off the rails. Because it was every person making the game wanted in. And I was like, all these games look great, but I have to carefully curate this for the ones that I really want to showcase. And of course, our peeps, our old friends get the first dibs.
It was also easy to artificially curate because we put a hard deadline. We gave them things that we wanted. It had to be something that's not already on the internet. It had to have, and if it was already, if it was something that already has a marketing, you could Google it and you could find 3 or 4 trailers. If it had that, then we wanted them to give us some information, whether it's a release date, release window, demo out, whatever. It had to have something other than just this trailer that they were hoping to get into a showcase. And that artificially cut the list down just for us saying, hey, these are our requirements right now. We're sorry, you know, we'll get you on, we'll get you on the podcast to talk about the game, yada, yada. So like that helped out a lot with the curation, but we wound up having, I believe the total number was 35, might've been 36. Cause I know we added a game really late. So it was either 34 and it became 35, or it was 35 and became 36, something like that. The showcase was a little over an hour, and Matt, you were kind of kept in the dark for most of this process. First, basically, I want to hand the rest of this episode off to you.
Oh boy.
And I want you to just talk to us about the showcase and ask us whatever you want to ask us. And we'll just keep the conversation flowing from there.
Yeah, well, so I thought it was really well put together, guys. You know, hats off. Little round of applause for you guys. You did a good job. Your editing was great. What do you guys think was like the most stressful part for each of you?
You want to go first, Andy? Because I feel like yours is, mine is easier because it's less to do about the indie games, and like Andy's job, I feel like was a much longer process,
like a wrangler,
and my process was very crash course. The hardest thing was I didn't know. We didn't start getting trailers until 2 weeks before the event. So I didn't know what the flow of the show was going to be until I had at least 20 trailers, because you just can't know, right? Like for me putting them together in those little clumps of cute AF games. Now it's time for some cute AF, and the whole action, multiplayer thing. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that a month ago. I had to wait until I had the trailers in hand. And once you start getting that and you see what you're looking at, and you start putting all the pieces together, then you start to see how the show flows. And then I understand what I need as far as transition screens, sounds, and all that stuff. And I had to learn from scratch, because I've never done this before on such a scale. I had to learn from scratch how to use pre-made transition templates for Adobe Premiere and edit them, because they're basically like a Russian nesting doll of assets for each little transition, and you have to open them up, and then you're like, oh, here's the color one. Now I could change this color to this color, and I had it match the logo, our indie showcase logo. So like all the transitions were those three colors: the purple, the yellow. Actually, I think it was four colors. It was purple, pink, yellow, blue. Actually, yeah, I think it was only those three. It was the three main colors. But yeah, like, and Andy would be like, "Hey, we got a new trailer," and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm done. Like, where is this gonna fit?" And I'd be like, and I would watch the whole thing over again and say, "This is where we need either to slow down or to speed up." And depending on the trailer he gave me, I'm like, "Oh, this is an action game, a lot of action. Let's put it right here where I think we need to speed things up." And it was fucking awesome that every single person who had anything to say about the pacing of the show said it was amazing. Like, better than the big companies' pacing on a lot of their showcases. So like, for me, that to me is like, that's what I was hoping for, because that's the shit we always complain about when we're watching these things. Like, oh, the pacing was awful. Oh, this was terrible.
Yeah,
and
no, the flow of the show
I was happy
fantastic.
with it.
Not only was the flow of the show fantastic, but the way that you kind of compartmentalize things, like you were talking about, really kept it segmented in a way where like you knew what to expect, kind of like what moment you were in during the showcase. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
puts
like
you in
acts.
a mood.
Yeah,
Right.
Like I tried to break it up into 3 acts.
Lovely little chapter book.
But with like a prologue and an epilogue. Like that's kind of like how I viewed it. And Andy and I actually videoed in person. We actually videoed a bunch of transition stuff that absolutely crippled the show. Like I pieced it all together, and I was looking at it. I was like, oh my God, this is just terrible, because we didn't script anything, because we wanted it to sound organic, But then the two of us, we've done. Somebody's got to do the math at some point. We got to get Corey to do it. I want to know how many hours of podcasting we've done together, because we can't stop talking.
Right.
And
It's like
we would just banter.
We fell into the banter mode.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we're doing a live show. Like, no, we're just doing like a little like check
needs
this
to be
shit
like
out.
a 30-second
That's what it
clip.
should have
Not
been.
even.
Yeah.
But
30 seconds was
were, like,
way too
cracking
long.
Jokes, and we were like,
Yeah, yeah.
we're like,
We had
it's
we
good
had
old
9.
habits.
We had 9 little breaks of us going back, and the reason why I originally wanted to do that is because I wanted to verbally highlight former guests of the show and say, hey, this next group of trailers stars on the beginning and the end, the first and last trailer of this section are former guests of the show, and then we talk a little bit about those guests and the games, and then it would go into it. But it was just killing the pace, and I wanted to make it more about the game, so we decided to just get our cameras and do our normal podcast setup with a new overlay and just do the 3 little spots, and that was hard to like realize.
You're not the star of the show.
Not even not even that. Like I didn't want to be the star of the show, but selfishly, one of the things I wanted to make sure we did was tell people who Dual Screens is, because too many people don't know.
Of course.
And so I kind of made it about that for too much. But
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Not like you personally being the star.
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
show,
yeah.
but it being a dual screen.
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah. And the thing was that I surprised myself with was that I was able to recognize it immediately. Like, we recorded the shit. Andy left at like 5 o'clock, and by 8 o'clock I told him we have to redo this. Like, we have to do something different. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Anyway, Andy, what was your hardest part besides your peen that you're looking at?
So for me, a lot of the stress came from when the Steam event kind of got tossed into the equation, sort of like late post announcement,
Haphazardly,
because
Yeah, it was like a chaos orb that came into your view.
there was a really clear vision and game plan. We had an announcement date picked. We had like a date to show it on, like August. It's summertime. It's fairly inactive in like showcase, between Sony and Microsoft
Right.
and Nintendo. It's like it's a safe spot to do something. And we started getting trailers from people, getting responses, getting hard yeses. Like, our forms were all done with like hard deadlines when we wanted things. And then the Steam thing kind of fell into my lap, and I was like, I had to have a good hard think, because I knew what it meant to the developers to get the Steam thing going, because the amount of wish lists they get from the Steam event is just that's free marketing for them.
Right.
And marketing costs a lot for an indie developer.
Mm.
So being like a part of an event on Steam, I had to give it to them. So when we made that choice, it was then going back and saying, hey, person that I spoke to for over the last 2-3 months, it's going to get pushed back. Can you still do it? And for some people, they were like, well, my game was going to come out before this, so should I still do it? And it was tough. It was very stressful. Like, some people like had given me trailers, and then when I pushed the date back, just like ghosted me, because they were like, well, I'm done with you now. Like, we had this understanding, and now you changed the deal, so
Yeah.
we're done. So it was rough, but like, I knew the rewards for the developers, like what they got out of the event on the Steam side, was well worth like the agony of saying, hey guys, we're pushing this thing back because of this reason. But not even that. It was also like the Steam thing wasn't even like a definite. It was, I took a gamble. It was, you got to push this back just for a chance to do a Steam thing.
Yeah.
So it was like doubly, because I had to push it back and then roll the dice and see if we got it. And I didn't get a confirmation until September 1st of the Steam thing even happening.
Yep.
And that's like less than 2 weeks out of our showcase date.
Yeah.
Which is
I
insane.
think the biggest revelation from you for me was just how how archaic it seems like setting those things up on Steam is.
Yeah, I feel like, I want to do a full like Patreon bonus deep dive in all those industries
Yeah.
secret stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, I just feel like that process could have been a lot simpler and smoother.
We also
it's
like Andy, your like your job, your day job is to plan,
yeah,
and
man.
like you're an over planner to the point where
Right. And
you
I think
kind
this
of
really showed that.
it-
Like,
yeah, but it also like it was a challenge because of the fluidity of it and your
yeah.
need to constantly adjust your plan.
Mhm.
Like for me, I just got out of your way. Like that was the only thing I had to do for like 2 months.
Right.
Was get out of your way.
It
But
was-
September 1st
Right.
was like it's time to run. Like it's
We had
it's
a-
go time.
We had a clear division of labor. It was like, let me just get this thing, let me build all this up, and then I'll just pass it to you.
Yeah.
Before the finish line. Just take it over the edge.
Right.
Like the Hail Mary, just like sports analogy. Just
Yeah.
like take it like and run with it. Like that's what it was, and it worked really great between both of us.
A lot of really good games were shown.
Yeah, man.
A lot of games that people were like, "Oh, I know this game." Oh, and we told them a release date or a demo or whatever.
Mhm. Or beta,
Or yeah, it was really cool to be able to do that. And then there were a lot of games that people were like, "Oh, I'm definitely hitting that up." And everyone that I personally knew that watched it was immediately went to the Steam event and wishlisted everything they thought they would want. So that was really gratifying.
everything. You want everything.
Yeah,
All those
that's
games.
unfortunate.
As an hour of amazing games. Telling you,
Yeah.
man.
Tell us
Well-
your highlights, Mr. Nuff,
Oh yeah.
aka Matt.
Well, so I think what was it, Nectarmancer?
Mhm.
That was our premiere.
That game looked gorgeous. The
I
fluidity
cried.
of that game looks amazing.
I cried a little bit when that trailer came on, you guys.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. I can't wait to play that game. Conscript looked really cool. Negative Atmosphere has been on my radar since you guys had them on. So like just seeing a little bit more of that and knowing that it's still alive was really good. There was a lot, man. There was so much. Maki's Adventure looked fucking rad. Like where you turn into the
Oh,
sharks and then like that was just like out of left field. I had no idea that like what a weird mechanic, but it worked.
Now
so
you know
well.
why that one viewer
my
was screaming
God.
about it from the beginning of the
Yo,
Yeah.
thing.
And that
It was like
game,
Maki. Like,
that
all right,
game,
man, cool.
like again, 19-year-old sole developer, he was the most persistent on Twitter, and
About
for a
get-
while
what
I
about
was
getting to
ignoring
you?
him. Yeah, I was like, do I want this game on the showcase? Then I was like, let me watch it again. I was like,
That's the point of
this
the
game is
showcase.
dope. Yeah,
Like
this
see,
is dope.
like it's for him. Like that's
Dude,
who the showcase is for.
he made that
Right.
trailer in like 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. 4 days, and a little intro. I'll give you that too.
I think
That
that's kind of
that was
the
adorable.
interesting thing you guys were talking about is like we've talked about this before where there's this kind of like divisive line between like actual indie and like this upper echelon of indie.
Right.
And I feel like this was a good launching pad for you kind of like staying true to your mission statement in giving indie developers the spotlight, right? Like true indie developers the spotlight, because I don't
Mhm.
think that a lot of these games get that chance where
Yeah.
they're the highlight,
Yeah.
or they're the highlights of the showcase that they're on. Like maybe they're an afterthought, or maybe they're like in between, they're on that Japanese stream that was like 300 hours long and there was like fucking 3 million games.
Right.
But this is a really well curated list, and I'm sure it was really cool for a lot of those people who wouldn't normally see themselves in the spotlight to be in
Yeah.
that space.
Yeah.
So that must have been also a gratifying feeling for you guys, is like really saying, hey, like this is what we've wanted to do forever. This is what we've been doing forever. This is what we're going to keep doing forever.
The best, so like I've been thinking about it a lot, and like what made it so, like being able to do it was special, be like all that stuff, but there was really one particular moment in the showcase that, like Andy said, like he teared up watching our interplanetary premiere. And
Suck it, Keely.
for Suck It, Keely.
It's the best.
I put it in a font that could almost not be read if you're not looking for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you're also like, what's a kiaioli? Like, it's just a weird word in
I don't know,
cursive.
Steve. I don't know, Steve.
But-
Everything else on the screen is pink and blue, and there is a golden
Yeah.
Suck It Keely down in the corner.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let us know in the
That
chat
little
if you caught the Suck It
little
Keely the
cursive.
first time.
Well hidden, sir.
A well hidden Easter egg. What really got to me was like a month before Andy and I reached out to Matty Allen Estock. And Matt has been dealing with a lot of doubt about his abilities as a game developer. He ostensibly hasn't touched the game since he was on our show. Like that was, that was really the last time he was into
4 years ago,
developing the game. Yeah, it was I think it was 2019 was the last time it was in active development. And he told me while he was making the trailer that we single-handedly reignited his passion for that game and like now feels not just motivated, but like we gave him purpose. That he was a part of this showcase. He promised people he's going to work on it, and now he has to finish it. And
it's a dope looking game.
That's it's great. Like
super charming.
The only thing that is like stopping him from really doing is that he wanted a single player campaign. And for me, like if I was the scope guy, if I was the scrum master or producer or whatever, like I would say, hey, no single player. We need to make sure you could do multiplayer online. Like, because it was only local, and that's how it was going to be. It's a local competitive game and co-op. But and that was a hurdle for him that was really difficult to get over. And I think between personal life and moving and like all the stuff, like he's a solo dev. He's another one. He's a solo dev that we met in person covering a indie event here in New York City. Playcrafting NYC. And seeing that happen in the showcase and seeing like people react to it and all of that was like the wow moment for me. That was like that was just a really emotional moment for me during the showcase.
Yeah, man. He was quiet for a bit. Like, we had our initial like conversation over email, like, okay, we're doing this thing. Cause I think you were the one to reach out to him first. You were like, hey, Matt, we're doing this thing. We want you on board. And then I gave him the details and it was just like quiet for like 2 months. And I'm like, are you still doing this? And then like right before we had the showcase day, he was like working on the trailer, like in the week prior, I want to say.
Yeah.
Getting it all together, like pulling quotes from interviews and like his like vision and tone for his trailer. It was really emotional because it's like it's his journey, it's his story of how the game came to be. Yeah. And now it's like a return, like it's happening again. Like I'm gonna commit to this thing now.
Yeah.
And hearing our interview snippets in that trailer, that's just like,
that was cool.
That might have been one of my favorite parts
right
of the whole thing, just because like I don't know, there's like I also have like a weird nostalgia for older episodes of your show, right? Because like I've listened to your guys' shit forever, and so like hearing that, I was like, oh shit, that was like forever ago. Like,
yeah, that was a really long time ago.
Yeah, like this feels like it almost kind of brought it. It was like a full circle moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like a really cool full circle moment.
Yeah, and I went into his Twitch because he does like speed running and stuff,
Mhm.
and I just went into his Twitch one day, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm really nervous about making this thing," and I was just, and he's like, "I don't know if," and I was like, "Just fucking do it, like stop. Your game
Yeah.
is good.
Mhm.
Show people."
Yeah.
And he was like, "All right, I guess I'm doing it," and like that was it. Like I think that was when he put that together, and the
It was a really quick turnaround.
yeah, but that was it. Like he wasn't gonna do it. I really like, and if I didn't
I
go in
think
that chat, I
that's
don't
why he
think he
was
was
so
gonna do it.
quiet, because I was
Yeah,
like, hey,
he
just so
wasn't
you
gonna do it.
know, deadline's in like a week. Like, are you still on board?
Yeah,
And then it was like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Um, it was so much fun doing that, and obviously we're gonna do another one. I don't know if it's gonna be a yearly thing or we'll do a special occasion thing. I
want
don't know how we're gonna do it, but
Yeah, I wanna, it sounds ambitious, but I wanna try to do at least one a year. I feel like there's so much we I have so many more contacts now from people. Folks
hmm
that I reached out to this year
hmm
said not now, but definitely the next time I'm in. Um, so yeah, I think I definitely want to aim to do it at least annually, because
yeah,
even just like getting more new people into it, not just our friends and partners from like
yeah,
years past.
Mhm.
Because I feel like if you watch the showcase, a good chunk aren't guests of the show, which is crazy, because they just want to have a platform to show their game. And
Yeah.
all of them, as per the Google form, want to come on the show for an actual interview. So it's
That's
fun. Like
awesome.
now it's like post showcase, like, all right, we met through this thing, we've done it. What were your thoughts when you were watching? And now let's talk about your game a little bit. So like we're making new friends, and I feel like I want to do it every year. Again, we've learned lessons with this.
yeah.
It won't be like this was like a little down to the wire, because we were like, I was looking at Steven's ads, like, can you like change this, and like this is like a little thing, and you add this trailer because we need it in there. And he was like sending me angry gifts well
Well,
into
so so
into the
why don't
wee
we
hours.
to kind of like wrap this, I guess. What
Mhm,
what are your two, like, for either of you? What are your biggest takeaways and like
mhm,
your biggest lesson that you learned?
mhm.
Kind of like putting this. I mean, it's a big endeavor to put something like this
Yeah.
together, and a lot of moving pieces and all that. So, like,
Mhm.
what do you
Oh,
think next time you'll take into this?
I mean, for next time, it's there. I have no idea. Like it's the the hardest thing was to learn how to do the thing, and now that I know how to do the thing, it's the next one's just going to be easier.
Right.
So I don't think that is an issue, but my biggest takeaway by far is that this needs to happen more. It needs to happen again, and I actually was thinking about pitching to the team, doing a solo dev
Mhm.
showcase of
Yeah.
only solo devs that can never get their shit seen unless they're like Mojang or whatever the fuck. Some Mojang? Is that did I is that it?
Mojang?
Mojang? I don't know.
I don't know, the
Um
Minecraft people.
yeah, I don't fucking know.
They're not
Uh
one guy anymore.
I know, but they, in the beginning, you know what I mean.
Notch is a
Um
weird, like, alt
Unless
right
you're like
push.
Hatch,
unless
Match,
you're Phil Fish.
Yeah,
Phil Fish, yeah, didn't he have problem? He had problems.
Phil Fish never wants to make
You
a
got
game
a lot of
again.
problems. That
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
But
that was a woo.
but yeah, like I think that would be cool doing a solo dev thing.
Yeah.
Just so it has a theme and
Yeah, like I want to do a horror one day, like just
Yeah.
straight up horror games.
My
yeah.
dream is
that'd be
for me
dope.
to talk to Ed McMillan directly.
Ed McMillan.
Binding of Isaac,
Yes.
Look out.
Super Meat Boy.
Um,
Ed,
Ed,
are you there?
listen, Ed,
are you there, Ed?
I want to
Andy.
converse with you.
What was
Yeah,
what was your takeaway and what are you
I
bringing to
think
the next one?
My biggest takeaway from all this is that I need to not chase people. I had a couple of Sherpas in this whole Steam event and the whole getting content for the showcase. And my biggest thing was like I was chasing folks for their stuff, like, hey, here's the deadline. Oh, you want some more time? I'll give you a week. I'll give you 2 weeks. And it was just a lot of back and forth. And I need to learn to stick to the hard deadline. and that's just it. I feel like it's less stressful on us to get everything just in the can for editing 2 weeks out, and no, there's no add-ons, no anything. It's just there. And I was like on Twitter, like, hey, can you give me a thing by like Sunday morning? Sunday morning, a day before the showcase, I was
Right.
maybe getting a trailer from somebody,
That's
which I never
ridiculous.
got. Because I was like, I wanted them in there. And I felt bad. Because we have like a relationship and they said yes. And so yeah, I feel like the not chasing is the biggest part for next time. And also like giving us more time, like if I plan for this exact date, September 12th, I want to start planning in January of next year. Just because more time.
Yeah. Yep. Now you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, now you know.
Now you know.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing: we weren't even the only indie showcase. ID at Xbox happened.
It did, yeah.
Which I still didn't have a chance to watch, regrettably.
Me either.
It was just I had a stupid busy day. There was also the Game Devs of Color Expo.
So many things, dude.
Which just so many great games out there. But the lesson here is, if you like video games, there are many of them out there that you've never heard of that you could probably
A lot of them.
check out. Before we say goodbye, do you have a anything you want to? Do you have a deal of the week or Kickstarter of the week? That
we do the Kickstarter of the week.
We do. All right, let's pitch the Kickstarter of the week.
This is all Andy.
All right, Andy, tell me about it.
I
oh yeah, I
pull it
know.
up.
I know this
Hold
one.
on.
Yeah.
I got to pull it up.
You got to pull it. Don't pull it too hard.
I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna pull
Tactical
it.
weeaboo the game.
Yes.
I'm gonna go to the phone.
Tactical shoot.
Tactical
Weebs.
weebs.
Tactical weebs.
Tactical weebs.
Anime tactical shooter corner. Peak shooters.
It does. It looks like really polished.
It looks very good. It's a very very thin horizontal slice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's a Kickstarter.
Yes,
by
that's the idea.
Composer Shoji Meguro.
Oh, Shoji
known for
Meguro.
the Persona franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Guns Undarkness. It is a strategy JRPG with a very modest $30,000 asking price only in their Kickstarter. And let's take a peek right now.
They're crushing it.
And see what's going on with it. Because I'm curious. I think they crushed it within hours double of the Kickstarter. Let's take a peek. Is it now almost double? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, we're hovering right under
60,000.
Oh snap!
Right. Yes, it is. Yeah, 28 days left.
Yeah, it's fine.
Can you?
You can also their
this is doing
social
great.
goals.
So,
their social goals are getting to know characters. It's very interesting.
I love it.
It's funky because we're used to seeing like Keiji Inafune, like Mega Man guy. Like he's a developer, designer, artist. Like he knows like the DNA of like how to make a game. The same with like Koji Igarashi with Castlevania when he did Bloodstained. He knows, he makes games, knows games. But Meguro is more like he's a sound guy. He scores games, and now he's like making his own game. So I'm very excited about this for him, and clearly a lot of folks are too. So
yeah,
it's great.
Very good. Do we have a deal of the week?
Some money at it.
Yeah. So there's this mobile game that I bought a while ago that I did not know was in you could get on itch.io. It is a turn-based party tactics party roguelike called Slice and Dice. And so it works perfect on a phone. It's only $7 to get both the app as well as the Windows version or the Mac version, or whichever is your fancy. And basically you just kind of go on dungeon runs. You have this party of 5 people. They're each different classes, like the classic classes: mage, rogue, healer, all that fun stuff, fighter. And as you go, you get 3 dice rolls per turn, kind of like Dice Throne, and you can pick like your attacks or whatever. But the cool thing is that all of these different archetypes have a maybe like 8 to 10 different things that they can evolve into during their run. And so you're picking and choosing like who you're going to level up and what items they get. And yeah, it's a really good time for $7. I play more of it than I would like to admit on my phone. It's just like a great time waster on there.
You're such a casual, dude.
I'm the worst, man. We were just talking about mobile games last and like how weird I thought it was that Shovel Knight Dig was coming to mobile last week with Andy. And here I am playing this game all the time. But yeah, it's just a really great art, really cool little roguelike that you can play in like 10 minutes, put it away and pull it back up. Very cool mechanics. And yeah, go buy it. $7.
All right, folks.
Before we go, Steve.
Yep.
I want to give one last shout out before you say
shout
goodbye.
it.
It's a game that came out today in early access. Former guest of the show, Blind Fate.
Oh yeah.
Is out today.
I have it downloaded.
You play as a blind samurai cyber warrior, and Matt, it's in my Steam library, so you enjoyed that, buddy.
I'm gonna download it right now.
It's a side scrolling
slashy guy.
I'm get it right now.
It's a dope game, and I can't wait to dive into the finished product.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to the end of the show.
Week's.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. We'll have a deep dive on that bad boy next week. I actually have now, including Blind Fate, now 5 games that I need to play. If you want to know my thoughts on Koromon, which came out earlier this year in March, I believe, I just started that. You could listen to Crossplay podcast. We spoke about that a little bit. Yeah, all right. So that's going to do it for us. If you want to follow us on social media, we're at dual_screens. I am at Batchout27. Andy's at PantsGuy. Matt is at Missed Enough. You could also join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/DS podcasts. And yeah, that's it. That's going to do it. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, listeners. Take care. And as always, please play some indies.